Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope all is well. So today, this video is going to be all about how to create an N8N automation that takes a Zillow URL and converts it to a new to market photo post for Facebook and Instagram. So essentially all you do is input a Zillow URL and it creates the social media post for you. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. This is again on my live business page, but I use this exact workflow to build this social media post. It created the copy, okay, with the address, a little brief description, some features, a deeper description. We have the picture link, we have hashtags, and we have the broker compliance, plus 10 photos here that this sorted through. Okay, and it posted all this from just entering a Zillow link, and it actually it's a two-step process. You enter the Zillow link, and then there's a human in the loop process, which is basically a review process. Which I guess you don't really need that. You could send it right to social. Me personally, for my business, I always want to double check the social media copy and the photos before it just shoots out information onto my Facebook page. But let me show you a quick overview of what we're going to build. And I'm actually going to, it's going to be a little simpler than this, but here's the webhook. And I have mine set up through a web form that I built, which I could actually build for you. It's my tool that I use for my business, a custom built tool that has a web form front end. And all you do is submit the URL through the front end of the website, and it creates the post. But basically, end of the day, you get a URL in here. This first node, it sets the URL expression to JSON .body.url, and then which then allows the Zillow scraper to read the Zillow page, and then the Zillow scraper from here outputs a bunch of different pieces of information that you then do an additional node that sets data. We have address, price, bedrooms, bathrooms, size, description, list agent phone, broker name, broker phone, school district. And again, this is custom for my business, but it can be a little bit different for what you're trying to do. So then I have two lines that go out here, and the bottom line is the copy. And I have a team, so these are the four different types of AIs that I have, depending on who the agent is. It dictates like which AI agent it goes to create the copy. And I decided to do it like this because if I have an agent that leaves, I could just easily delete this out of play here, and then it's gone. But this creates the copy based off the Zillow inputs. And then the top piece here, this is all about the images. It downloads the images to Google Gemini servers, and then it does an analyzation of the images, and then it basically figures out, it determines what the top images are. The AI determines what it thinks the top images are, and it outputs those images. And that's what this top line is here, the output. This bottom line here is the analyzation. Okay, the top line is the output. Then it basically just merges everything together, and it goes to Airtable, and then it goes to once it's in Airtable, it creates a record, and then I get a text message in my Google chat that tells me that the post is ready for review. Okay, so that's what we're going to build. Let's get into it here. Okay, so I have a blank canvas here. The first thing I want to do is a set URL. And I want to call this set house URL. Okay, do an add field, and I'm going to call this house URL, and the value I'm going to call JSON body URL. Okay, that's the first step. So set your house URL, and again, like, you got to send the URL to this node first. However you send your data there is up to you. We can do this one-on-one and talk about it if you like. So from there, we want to create a HTTP request. And this is going to be the Zillow scraper node. Scrape house URL. And again, like the whole point of this node is to read the Zillow page and get the information off the page, and it gets text, images, everything. We're not going to set up this the scraper URL, the credentials for this, but I use Apify, and then so we'll do that last. But then I want to do a send body, and I want to provide you with this JSON. We want to change this to using JSON, and you want to paste this JSON in the bottom of the in the text box here. Okay. Next, we want to create another set URL. And this URL is going to get all the information from the Zillow page, and the whole idea is that this structures the data for you. So I'll show you what I'm gonna add in there. So we'll have address, price, bedrooms, bathrooms, size, description, and again, we're going to come back to all of this information and fill out the variables once we have the basic workflow set up. List agent phone, broker name, and school district. And this is how I have mine set up again, because it's custom for my market, for my business. So that's done. And we're gonna actually go back in here and call this set house info. And you guys try to bear with me. I'm not the most technical. I'm all about results here. With Foria, I want to get this working for you. If I'm not going to probably be able to explain every little micro technical detail why this works. That's for somebody who's way smarter than me. But I just want to let you know that. So the next step, we're going to build a leg now that creates the copy. So we're going to use an OpenAI. We're going to use an OpenAI message a model. And I want to set this up as if we're a solo agent. But if you already have your OpenAI set up, the operation is going to be message a model. And then I'm using GPT-5 Mini. Again, I don't even know why I selected that, but that's what I'm using right now on mine. And then here's the prompt that I created. Again, this is custom for me, but you can do this yourself, however you want to do it, with the information you have. But I'll just read the first sentence here. It says, start the post with an exciting opening statement such as just listed, new to market, or for sale. Follow this with a dash and then the full property address on the same line. Be sure to spell out any abbreviated words in the address. On the next line, soft return this line from the last. Follow the opening statement with a short, catchy hook of the property. Gets into the bullet points. I have the input data notated in here. The output format, you must output a single JSON object. The entire generated social media post must be a single string inside an array. Example of required JSON structure. So this is important down here, but copy and paste this is going to be in my Skool community for free. Okay, so we have that set up. We're going to connect that. Then I have another custom set node after here that it just sets the description to a specific value. So when I forward it off, I use this value message content description, and that's what I feed into. It's probably my Airtable at that point, because this goes into a merge node. from here. And I have this merge set up to be a combine because we're going to combine this copy with the images. Okay. I'm going to connect this to the bottom. And then we're going to output this to an Airtable. This will be a create record Airtable. And I already have my Airtable credential in here, but it's create. And then you want to choose your list, and then I have an Airtable set up where I can review all this copy. We're going to come back here later. So that's the first line that we want to have set up here. So that's all the copy. Okay, so next we have a code node. Like before, I'm gonna provide you with this code, but this code node, what it does is, in short, it basically filters through all the available photo versions of the property. So like, there's definitely different versions of the photos on the Zillow website that you probably don't even know it's there when you look at it. It's on the back end, but we're trying to get the high res photos, and that's what this does. It pulls those out and forwards that information through, and I mean, it finds the best quality one, and then it outputs them in an array, which contains like a clean list of all the actual photos and their URLs. So that's what this does. Again, just do it. Yeah. Now we're going to add a loop over, because each URL now has to be evaluated. And then we're going to create another node, a webhook, a HTTP request. It's going to be a get. We're going to call it download image. I would put JSON URL in there. Authentication, none. So once we create the download image HTTP request, we have to upload the image we just downloaded to the Gemini servers. So we're going to do another HTTP request. We're going to call this upload the Gemini. It's going to be a post. We'll do the credentials later, but I mean, it's Google Gemini. This is what we're using, the API. Then we do send headers. And this is all going to be in the template. In my free community, you could just download this, and all it's a matter of doing is filling in the blanks and uploading your credentials, and that's it. I know this is probably a lot if you've never done this before. It took me a good bit to kind of catch on to how this works. But once you get it down, this whole like sharing of templates things is definitely money, because it becomes so much easier to do once you figure out the basics. So anyways, these are the header parameters. Then we have the send body. We're doing an N8N binary. We're going to call it data. And that's that node here. We're going to create an analyze image node, another HTTP request. Because now we're asking the Gemini servers to we're just going to call it analyze image 1. We'll do this later so I don't forget about it. Send headers. Again, just copy what I have exactly. Then we're going to do send body, send using JSON. I'm going to copy my code in here. And these actual, these are referencing the prior node. So this will reference this. We're going to do another HTTP request. This is the hardest part of this whole thing. Same deal. It's going to be predefined. You put your Gemini credentials in there. It's going to be send headers, content type. And then we're going to do application JSON. I want to rename this real quick before I forget to analyze image. Let's call it that. Then we do a send body. Then send using JSON. Again, copy this JSON in here. Oops, did it? Okay, it worked. Let me just make sure I didn't mess that up. I think okay, this is the right JSON. So, and this is actually going to describe, the text says describe this image as one of the following keywords: front house, living room, kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, backyard, other, and we'll reply with these keywords. Okay, so this is actually going to set a description to each image that it analyzes. Okay, so it's going to, this Gemini model is literally going to look at these photos and just figure out which one it likes the best, and we're going to depend on the AI to pick the top photos. Okay, so I know we're almost done this line here. Let's move this out a little bit. Okay, another HTTP request. This is going to be called set image info. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a set node. So this is outputting data, and my fields are going to be image URL, image description, image keyword. Okay. Now we're doing an aggregate. So we're all item data into a single list. I'm going to call this one put output in field. We're going to call that image infos. We're going to specify the fields and image URL, image description, image keyword. So this is going to aggregate all the data, and it's going to output the data with these fields. This loops all the way back to here, and then we're going to create another aggregate node up here. We're going to call this one image infos. Oops. Okay, do that. Then we're going to have another OpenAI message a model, text, resource from list, GPT-4 mini I want to use on this one. Where's it at here? GPT-4. You could probably use a newer one. 4.1 I'm using. Okay. I'm going to so I actually have this generating 15 images. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm actually missing one here. Oh, this is all jacked up. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's 15. So I'm going to upload, fix my mothership template. Okay, so again, this will all be code within the template that I give you. And we're going to do simplify output. That's going to be checked. Output content is JSON. That's going to be checked. Do that. From there, we're going to create another code node. Create it. So let me show you this code. Again, in the template, this code node, and this might be different for your workflow. So this code node, what it does is I basically free format the images so Airtable can properly read them and get them uploaded into the cell. Okay, so this is the basic outline of this post generator. Now let's get into the credentials. Okay, so the first thing we want to set up is the Zillow scraper. Okay, so the way you do this is you want to go to appify.com. I already have it pulled up here. So this is what the website looks like. And you want to make an account on here. I'm just going to log into my account. So once you're here, you want to go to search, or no, Appify store to the left. You want to go to Zillow, and you want to find Zillow Detail Scraper. And from here, you want to go to API endpoints. And you want to copy this API, this post API endpoint. So you want to copy that, go back to your workflow, paste it in here. Okay, so that's all you have to do for this node. Your API key is actually in the URL. So let's test it now. So we're going to use a Zillow page. We're going to copy the Zillow URL. We're going to go back into my workflow. And we're going to go to set house URL. You want to paste this right in here, the Zillow URL, or any Zillow URL you want to paste it. Okay, so test this out by hitting execute step, and you want to make sure the output is working first. So the house URL expression is equal to the Zillow URL. So now we can see the input coming into the scraper. Let's reopen the code area. And again, like this code here has to match whatever you're feeding it. So I will just, if you change it, you can just drag and drop this over like that. So let's run this. And there it goes, it worked. So now that we have that output from the Zillow scraper, we can map these fields. And if you're looking for specific fields because you want to manipulate the data, you can just go up here and hit search. But I'm just going to type in address, and I'm gonna pull over this one. I'm gonna type in price. Bedrooms. Bedrooms 3. Bathrooms. And there's definitely a lot of different choices. I typically go with the accurate one. So bathroom 2, 2, 2, 2. There's a 3 here. Why is that? Let's say 3. These are other listings on the Zillow website. This property has 2 full bathrooms. So I want to use the very first one. Size is square foot. Let's see here. I think this house is 1928, so we're going to use that variable. Description. There's a description. List agent. And Zillow has all this what we got here? List agent phone. Let's see here. There it is. It's agent phone number. So the way I found this was typing in the listing agent's phone number. That's how I was able to find it. Then broker name. So the broker, and this is Keller Williams. So I'm just going to find that variable. In school district, I know this place is in West York Schools. So I'm just going to type in West York. And there it is. Okay. So once you map whatever field you want to map in here, execute this step. Make sure you get a successful execution. Looks like all the information is correct. Okay, so we're working down the flow here. Now let's work on the image generation or the image analyzer. Oh yeah, one more thing I want to comment on regarding the Apify scraper here. This technically isn't the most secure way of accessing the API. You really should use authentication. That being said, I have followed the instructions to a T on how to set up the authentication, and I can never get it to work. So I've just been using this method of using the Zillow API for the Zillow scraper API through Apify. I mean, what I'm doing isn't really super sensitive information, so I don't really care if someone would perhaps get a hold of it. And again, the odds of that happening are slim to none. And the way I have mine set up, it's hosted on a website, but it's behind a login portal. So it's not like it's a public-facing website that people can just get access to. You have to have an account to get into it, and something to just keep in mind when you're building this stuff. But let's talk about. Let's just jump ahead to this upload to Gemini. And we need to get a Google Gemini credential. So the first thing you want to do is go to Google Cloud Console. Good. So search that. I usually go down to the second Google search result. Okay. And you should be logged in your Google account. I have a Google Pro account that I use all my Google services through. And once you're in here, you want to go up to this top left-hand part of the screen. Mine says Gemini API, but yours probably won't say that. But this is where you can actually create a project. So my project that I'm using for this specific credential is called my Gemini API, but you want to make new project. Okay. I'll call it Gem Test. You technically have to have a billing account set up, and I already have this pre-set up, and I'm not really going to get into this on this video. But if I should probably make another video about how to set up Google Cloud Console stuff for this, but I have my billing account already in there. I have my organization put in there, so I'm just going to do create, and gem test is configuring itself. It's setting itself up. Okay. So now if you go back to the upper left-hand corner, you should see gem test. So there it is. Okay, so now you want to go to Google AI Studio. Okay. And you want to go to the first result. You want to make sure you're logged into your account that you just set up the Google Cloud under. You want to click Get API Key. I actually have, I'm going to delete this one real quick. I don't need that in there anymore, but this is what your screen should look like. Do Create API Key. Select the crowd project, so do Import Project. There it is, gem test. Okay, so we're going to import it. So I just cut the video because whatever that was doing, it was hanging on that loading screen. But I refreshed my browser and it seems to be in here now. If I go down to Select Cloud Project, there's gem test. I'm going to do N8N test. Hit create key. So this should create now an API key. Okay, so now on to the next step. Okay, back to N8N. So I'm opening back up the upload the Gemini node. I want to have this URL in the template for you, but this is the URL API that allows you to upload files to Gemini. Okay, and you want to do predefined credential type. You want to search Google. Where was it at here? I just had it up here. Google Gemini, duh. Google Gemini PALM API. I'm going to do create new credential. I already have one in here, but I'm going to do another one here. I'm going to call it test. So go back to your Google AI Studio, and then you can copy your API key right here. Go back into N8N and hit paste. And that should be it. Let's save this credential. It says it was set up successfully. So I'm going to close this down. And that should be it. Okay, so now let's run through this a little bit more. Let's test this code node out. And assuming we set this API up correctly, this should go pretty quickly now. My code node errored. It says node does not exist. It's probably because I have this code set up. So look, this is what it's looking for. Okay, but I don't have that node name. So I gotta go back over to scrape Zillow property 2. So it's looking for this node. So it should be scrape house URL. So I got to rename this in the code. I'm pretty sure this should probably fix the problem. Okay, I want to re-execute it. Boom. And look, if you actually go in here, it's pulling every single image. There's 44 images, and it's pulling all the high-res images. You can see the width. So if you go and actually highlight this URL and do a copy, paste it in there, there's the photo. Okay. So let's test out the next step, the download image node. And all you're doing with this one, JSON URL, so this should be set up right. Let's just run it here. Okay, that's successful, and you can this is what you want to make sure is pulling over. So if you run this test and the data's making it over to the node, but it fails, delete out whatever you have in here, pull this over, and that should work. And you can see that it is now down. It's like outputting a binary file that you could actually view in the N8N browser. Okay, so let's now test this upload Gemini node. Let's see if this works. And it worked. Okay, so now let's go into each additional node here and add the credentials. Gemini test. Gemini test. Okay, let's run those two nodes next. It's going to like what I do wrong here. So we have another error. Node does not exist. Reference node does not exist. It's because I copied this code from a different workflow. So I was looking for upload the Gemini 2, and again that is it should be referencing this node code. Needs to reference this the prior one. So I just gotta get rid of the 2. That's now green. And let's just double check this one here, because we're probably gonna fail at this one if it's just using old code. Upload to Gemini 2. So this one, I believe, this next one should also reference the exact same node as the prior one that we just did. So this should also be able to Gemini. Okay, let's run this again. I just realized something too. Yeah, these need to both be at post as well. I believe I had them at get, but everything should be post. Let's run this workflow from the start. I had to pause the video because I kept getting an error, and it was because I had the two HTTP request nodes configured as gets versus posts. And the great thing about Google Gemini is that it's really good at troubleshooting these technical issues, and that's a pretty simple, stupid mistake. I would say that's like, you know, in basic computer world, that's like you feel you should just restart your computer. Like I missed the very first thing, and the cool thing about Gemini is that it can read screenshot snippets. So if you do like a Windows Shift S, and like you could highlight stuff, you could come in here, you could just screenshot this whole thing. And I'll copy and paste the JSON input to a node. I'll screenshot my entire node configuration with the JSON, and then I'll copy and paste into the Gemini the output, and it usually can tell you exactly what's wrong. And that's how I've been able to actually build these workflows, because again, I don't really know coding. I just really understand how computers work and how to get them to communicate a little bit. But the Gemini AI is making it all possible, and like we're getting success here. So let's move on to the next step. So we have to configure this set node next. I'm going to rename it to set data, and this URL should be from I go back to the original code node and pull that in. The description comes from I think it's, which one is it here? Yeah, it's the analyze image 1, and we have the description in here. Where's it at here? Right there. And then the keyword is the analyze keyword node, front of house. Okay, let's execute that. This is how this node is what combines the image URL with the description with the keyword. And then this is what goes into the actual AI when it's the AI's task is to determine which image is the best image. Okay, so let's run this entire workflow through. Let's just run it up to the second code node. It's going to take a little bit of time because it's going to analyze each image. But before it can analyze each image, we have to download the image, we have to upload the image to Gemini. Gemini analyzes the image, assigns a description to the image, and then assigns a keyword to the image, then sets the data point, and then all the data is combined at the very end before it goes into the actual AI model, where the AI determines which are the top 15 images to send forward to the next step. Okay, so we have some success here. I've pretty much, the images have basically made it to the end of the model, and I just want to walk you through this. I'm actually in my executions screen, not my editor screen. Don't ask me why. I went to hit record, and then I actually hit re-execute, so it started running all over again, but there's no reason for me to run it again at this point. I want to show you guys how this played out. We left off with the set data node. It aggregated all these data points. So the template, as it is in the template, you just have to leave the text in these different fields as is, and it should work. Same with the second aggregate node, right? You just leave it as is. It'll forward the data to the next step, which is the AI model. And let me go back into editor view. You can customize this. If you don't want 15 images, you want 20 images, you would just continue to add additional lines here, naming the images, and you'd have to have additional lines down here with the examples. And but yeah, it essentially, read the list of images and descriptions and keywords, pick the 15 best ones, and replies a JSON list. So it's reading the image URL, it's reading descriptions and the keywords, and the AI is just basically outputting the top 15 of these images that sound the best based off their descriptions and keywords. And this code node I have, it's essentially just configured to be able to set up to send data to my Airtable. Let's look at the message model really quick. This is my custom message model. So one thing that Zillow doesn't have in their data are agent emails. So if you want to have multiple agents, you should have, I have multiple agents, and I have in each agent's AI their specific email hard-coded. I also have the broker address hard-coded into the AI, and I have the team address, website address hard-coded into the AI. But everything else basically pulls from the Zillow scrape, right? I also hard-coded my website, and then, so the way my website presents properties, it's yorkhomefinder.com/properties/MLS number. So we have the beginning of the URL, which there's no way for Zillow scraper to understand what that is, followed by the actual MLS number that Zillow scrapes, which then equals the actual URL. Okay. simplify the output. Again, this is all in the template. I merge all the data here. I do combine and position a number of inputs too. Let's do one big run now and see what we get into the merge node. One thing I do want to point on as well is I had an error the first few times I did this that I had to put into Gemini. Essentially, I had to switch over my credentials to my active account that I use, because the account I just made is actually on a free Google API plan, and you only get 10 runs every hour or so with the free plan. So this requires a lot more than 10 runs an hour. So I switched my credentials back over to my active credentials I use on my active workflows. So you would actually have to go into Zillow, or I'm sorry, Google Gemini API, and subscribe to like the first tier. Again, it's not expensive at all. I spend pennies to make this thing work, and it does this plus the other opportunities you have. I would just subscribe to it and work with it. So, but here, let's let this run. Okay, so we had a successful run. Let's look at the final merge code output. So we have the URLs, 15 different ones of what the AI considers to be the top image, and we have a description. So let me show you my active version. Here's the active version. So the only difference is that I have 4 agents, and then I have a create record node over here in my Airtable. Okay, so the way I have this structured, you could link up your own Airtable and do the same thing. And let me show you what the same exact property run did on my actually active workflow. And this is my Airtable. So this is the copy and photo that it made. So it's organized in a way where I have a source headline. So it's a for sale photo post that pulled into the Airtable. The summary is the address. You can actually go to the Zillow URL, and this is where you actually picked what social channels you want to post on. So if I wanted to go on the Facebook and Instagram, I would select both of those. Then I would review the copy, and it has the just listed. It has 2 spacious bedrooms. It has a whole description with the property website. It has the agent's sign off and the broker and compliance. So it's all there. So once I'm good with all this, here's the photo review. Keep in mind, Instagram API only does 10 photos. I usually delete 5 and pick the top 10 photos and post those on Facebook and Instagram. But all I gotta do is hit approved, and it'll post on my social with my other workflow. But yeah, that's it pretty much. I know it's kind of a long video. I try to really break it down step by step. Feel free to join my Skool community to get this template for free that I just built here live in front of you guys. There's definitely a lot of moving parts here. I would say key takeaways, things that I got caught up on the most, was the subscription to the Google API. I didn't realize at first I needed to subscribe to a higher tiered plan. I also got caught up a lot on the node names, and so when you're building your own, you got to make sure, like, if the node names are being referenced properly in all your different JSON codes, and same with the set nodes. I mean, you guys can customize this to your desire, how you want the copy to be based off of like what data sort feeds into it. I mean, you could definitely scrape Zillow for other data pieces to make other types of post copies. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please subscribe to my channel and sign up for my free Skool community if you want this stuff, to have access to this stuff. And I could always help you build it too myself if this seems a little bit too much for you. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. I'll see you.